What's up, Internet? So, working on the S10 again, and we're plumbing the fuel system, so time to make some fuel lines. Okay, so obviously, once you kind of get the fuel lines run where you want them, you're going to need to cut them. Now, you can do it out of rubber fuel lines. For instance, this truck's going to be fuel injection, so you're going to want to run high pressure fuel lines. So when you look at the lines, a lot of times it'll have the pressure rating on there. Most fuel injection systems will be running right around between 40 and 80 psi, all depending. So you really want something that's rated above that. Most fuel injection lines are rated up to 100 psi. If you go to just a store, they might give you a fuel line that's rated for carburetors, which only run at a maximum psi of maybe like 8. That could be bad. On top of that, there's specific fuel injection hose clamps. Everybody's seen the little worm clamps. Those work good for a lot of things, but since they've got that stuff, it kind of cuts into it and can cause swelling for the pressure that fuel injection is on. So you want to run fuel injection hose clamps, which are a little bit different. They're more like this. So we're not running regular rubber line, we're running AN line. So AN is nomenclature for Army Navy. That's where it was originally designed. There's a million different companies that make it, Earls, Russells, all that. I'm using mine from a company called Evil Energy. They're the Amazon specials. It's a lot cheaper. This is kind of still a budget build. So that's what we're going with. I'm not sponsored by them. If I were, I'd be spending less money that my wife would not be upset about. So let's start. First thing you want to do is after you mark it, I normally mark mine with tape. So I've got mine in the vise right here marked with blue painter's tape, and then we're going to cut it. So I got the line loosely in the bench vise, got it marked with my blue painter's tape, and then I'm just going to use cutoff wheel. It makes a nice clean cut. There are some braids in here, and we'll go through that without making a big mess of stuff. So as you can see, got a nice square cut, no fraying or anything. And then you're going to want to remove the tape and then put your fitting on. Here is your typical AN fitting. This is a -6, which is the size here, which is about a 3/8 line, which is decent for the horsepower that we're going to be at. It'll come in 2 pieces. So you've got it'll unscrew. You got the regular fitting with the barb, and then you got the outer collar or the lock piece. Now on this particular setup, which a lot of them are, it's kind of hard to see in there, but there are threads, and it's a reverse thread. That way you can thread it on to the outer part of the line, and then you're going to put this in. And when you put this in, you want to lubricate it a little bit. They make special, there's a fly there, they make special lubricants. I just use a little bit of engine oil. So let's put this together. First thing I'll do is take this tape off. So again, you can see it's a nice clear cut and there's none of the fraying going on. You want to make sure you get this, that none of the stuff is on the outside. You get it centered up. And then, like I said, it's a reverse thread. You'll just kind of start threading that on. It's easier if I take it out of the vise. And the threads will kind of grab onto the outer part of the hose. I'll just keep checking on the inside. And it'll actually bottom out. Now you can't really see in there, but the line kind of bottom out against the collar here. And then inside my vise, I've got these soft aluminum jaws. Again, these are from Evil Energy, but anytime you're working with AN, they're normally aluminum fittings, and they're real soft, so you don't want to just hammer on them inside of a regular vise, because that's how you screw them up. Trust me, I know. get it softly put in there. That'll hold that. And then you're gonna take this. I said I'll lubricate it with a little bit of oil. So that lubricates the threads as well as the stem. Get it lined up. Start threading it in. That threads in by hand. And then this is aluminum AN wrench. Again, it's softer aluminum, so you don't tear it up. You can use like a regular like crescent wrench, adjustable wrench. You have to be careful because that'll mar it. So you get this. And I just like to grab the other end of the hose just to make sure it's not getting pushed out. And this will just turn in there. Check to see if it's bottomed out on the fitting. Alrighty, and we got a complete fitting. You can see there's a little oil on there from that. But this piece is bottomed out on the collar. I made sure it wasn't pulling out, and that's all set up to be installed. And then I'll just take some compressed air after I knock down that, and I'll just blow it through here to get any gunk or anything out. Since this is a fuel line, you don't want that getting stuck into your ejectors. So got that fuel line made. I got a couple more to make. That was running from the tank to the pre-filter. Then I got to go from the pump to the after filter. I already got the returns line made and plumbed up to the fuel rail, but I ran out of fittings. It happens. So there's a bunch of different styles of kind of AN. There's Vapor Guard and the braided stainless. Each one's a little bit different, but that's kind of how all of them work. Now I will say that if you're doing this, whatever line you buy that company's fittings. So if you're using Earl's line, buy Earl's fittings. If you're buying Russell's line, buy Russell's fittings. I'm using Evil Energy line, so I bought Evil Energy fittings. That way it's all the same, because each company might manufacture it a little bit differently. So you might have one line that fits great with that company's fittings, but if you mix and match the fittings with the other lines, it may not work out so well. So that's kind of a safety tip. Obviously, once everything's done, pressure test your system, check for any leaks. Hopefully that helps somebody out when they're starting to make the fuel system for their car. All right, go out and make something for your ride. You guys have a good one.